It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising, we're rising up. It's an uprising.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
It's an uprising.
I'd like we're doing a little technical stuff right now.
Oh, no.
So I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Mr. Scott Free. What's up, Scott? And our guest
I'm
tonight
glad
is.
I'm getting that echo.
Are you getting it
So,
again?
yeah, isn't that-
Well, drop out and come back.
I'm just
That
gonna
seems
log
to work.
out. I'll log back in. See you soon.
Okay. I don't know why that's happening. But I'm here with my guest, Zakir Siddiqi. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am a little starstruck. I'm not used to podcast appearances, so this is an exciting one for me. Thank you for having me. And thank you all.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're more than welcome. I mean, this is what we do here. We're trying to, raise the consciousness, I guess, of the Green Party, like make people understand we didn't go anywhere. We're still here. We're still working. So you have kind of an interesting story. You
Yes.
were running your uncle's campaign for a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we are definitely an activist-oriented family. My uncle Imran lives in Washington State right now, but he gave me the call in May of this year that he was going to be running for Congress, an attempt to primary a AIPAC Democrat, Kim Schreier, who he had helped elect 2 years ago, because the Muslim community would vote blue no matter who for about 22, 24 years straight. And he and his community felt personally scorned by her voting record in the Democratic Party, where she would continuously vote in support of sending more arms to Israel, sending unconditional arms, and even voting to censure Palestinian Congress member Rashida Tlaib. So there was a lot of different moments that felt personal and felt painful for the Muslim community that has been very strongly supportive of the Democratic Party, where it got to a point of no return, and Imran was encouraged to run as the community's champion to challenge a AIPAC bot candidate. And he gave me the call because he's the one that inspired me to pursue political science as a degree in my bachelor's, public policy as my master's. And I always told myself, keep it in your back pocket in case the time comes. And there had been no better time than my role model telling me, I need your help, and we need to use our voices to champion the cause for Palestinian liberation, because it's always been very dear to our hearts. His brother-in-law, my uncle Imad, is from Gaza. So seeing everything this past year, the fact that the United States is responsible for the continuous carnage against the Palestinian people, we're continuously funding more and more weapons shipments, while people from across the aisle, red versus blue, are cheering it on, or at the very least just not doing anything to stop the fact that we are funding genocide. So I got to work on a congressional campaign and get to see behind the curtains of the Democratic Party with that experience.
So what did you think? I mean, did AIPAC win out, or did the community win out?
Sadly, AIPAC won out. It was a very, very inspiring yet soul-crushing 3 months that we got to work on that campaign. We were amazed by the community response, as we have been in the past year of organizing against genocide, whether it was fundraisers or canvassing or just mobilizing our community to learn about what their representatives are actually responsible for. We saw an incredible turnout, but unfortunately we lost. We got 7,000 votes, but she received, I want to say, closer to 40 to 60,000 votes. So
Wow.
the biggest, most glaring issue when that vote count dropped was people just don't care. Or if they do, they don't care enough that they're willing to stake a bet that might say hurt the price of eggs, or might say change something else that they're comfortable with. And that was a very harsh reality check that I had to live with for a couple of weeks after August 6th. And then I saw the DNC, and that circus really was like twisting the knife in my back, because I knew we were running this campaign because of the Palestinian issue, and getting to see the uncommitted movement, a very just naturally organic protest vote, to get people to just raise the issue of Palestine to the Democratic Party, because that to me felt like reasonable. It felt like it made sense. And then seeing the uncommitted delegates get told, no, you can't speak on our stage, then told, no, you can't speak on our stage even after we've read the speech, and then, no, you can't speak on our stage even after we've read the speech that endorses us. It felt like, well, then what are we there for? What are we even doing? If you get to the highest levels, if you get invited to their cocktail parties or to their representative tours, what's the point if we're being muzzled and told no next time? It just felt like I couldn't get anywhere with the Democratic Party. So at that point, I kind of just hung my cape up and felt like maybe I'm not voting this time around. Obviously, that did not happen. I luckily stumbled upon the Breakfast Club interview with Dr. Jill and Dr. Ware, and that was life-changing. I was aware of the Stein-Ware campaign for a while because I saw Dr. Stein and Jason Call, her campaign manager, get arrested at an encampment, and that was just very, very inspirational to me. So getting to see that, going through the comments, it was wonderful. But that was my journey from Democratic campaign manager to
Green Party. So we have a comment.
It's going.
Frederick Clarkson, what needs to be done between election is continue building the movement. That is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of why we're here. And I think so much of it, we were talking a little before the program started, is that what we're going to try to really do, Illinois Green Party, Arizona Green Party, nationwide, is to be out there and so people can see us.
Absolutely.
So we are commenting on every topic happening, and there's always a million horrific things going on because of our U.S. government that we can comment on, and just being out there, being a face, working with other organizations. Kind of a segue into what we were going to also talk about of Left Unity, which is something I certainly personally am going to try to work on. And I know that you're doing an event at your coffee house, which has to do with Left Unity. So
yes, we've got actually quite a few. This Thursday, we're hosting a sort of evening forum just to bring people together, because the reason I was so sold on the Green Party was staking the bet that a lot of the absence of activism that existed for Palestine in July, August, September, October was electoral consequences. Because I remember there was a point when all eyes were on Rafah, and I kept asking myself, why did that stop? Why did that stop? And when you get close enough to the issue, you realize it's electoral viability, really. It's the fact that if you are seen chastising a candidate or a campaign that is supposedly for us, then you're not on our team anymore. And that was sadly the vibe that we were experiencing within the Muslim community, within the Palestinian community at large. And I'm jumping to do more events like these forums where we can talk about reuniting the left and bringing our heads together to talk about how this is not just about Palestine. Palestine is just burning the brightest, and it's the easiest to point to U.S. imperialism, the failings of the capitalist system that we have here, and why that is responsible for what we're seeing in Palestine, in Syria, in Lebanon, and the list just goes on and on and on, from Sudan to Congo, elsewhere, where people are learning and people are getting a lot more access to independent media, independent voices, and they're starting to escape those echo chambers. And as we've seen in 2020, when that starts to happen, it scares the system. So I'm standing strong to make sure I can keep pointing people and pushing people away from the Democratic Party, because I just want them to know that is a $1 billion debt trap that you're going to be walking yourself into.
Right.
That is not your vehicle for change. And it doesn't even have to be my party, but I want to be the one to point you to mutual aid sources or community initiatives or fundraisers like the one we're doing this Saturday, where we're raising 50% of we're donating 50% of our sales to Palestinian, Lebanese, and Sudanese relief efforts. And that is going to be the 6th fundraiser that our coffee shop has done. And I cannot wait to do that. But I also am extremely depressed by the fact that we have to do that after a year of doing this fundraising.
Yeah, because both parties are all on board because they make lots of money from it. And the problem with the Democratic Party, as far as I can tell, is they will never give anyone that wants to change anything a seat at the table. All the orders come from on high, and you fall in line, or you get primaried or beaten or redistrict. Just like Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush.
Yep.
And they didn't do anything to save them because they don't want them. They don't want us there.
No.
They just want our votes occasionally.
Jamal Bowman's race during my uncle's race was like a slow motion nightmare. It was heartbreaking to see, and it was devastating to also watch the Democratic Party let it happen, because that was what I really got to see. It was my Wizard of Oz moment behind the curtain, when you get to really figure out it's not politics, it's political theater. It's a lot of pearl clutching and lambasting when the moment is right, but we didn't see, not to keep beating a dead horse, but we didn't see AOC doing any photo shoots with the most recent administration, even though deportations were at an all-time high.
Right.
It's very theatrical to me, and that was what really had me staying here, because Palestine was what got me here, but Black Lives Matter was what made me stay. The immigration crisis is what made me stay.
Yeah.
Working class rights. The list just keeps going on, and I'm excited to wear the eco-socialist badge on my sleeve.
Looking at the Arizona Green Party, I think it was the Twitter page, maybe, or Instagram, I'm not sure. You had a slogan, the electoral arm of the social justice movement. That's brilliant. I hope we can steal it. You've already copyrighted it.
I'm saying it everywhere, and I'm hoping people. As long as GPUS, GP everywhere else, we're good, because I believe that, and
that's exactly the way we should be viewed. That's exactly it, because yes, I'm in a political party. Okay, we run elections and stuff, but it's the social justice that counts. And that's, I work very actively with an organization in Chicago that just does street actions. They're called Gay Liberation Network. And yes, street actions are important. Protests are absolutely important. But if you ignore the electoral arm, then what's the point?
Exactly.
What is the point? Because you're not going to make any progress. Go ahead, Eyde.
We have a comment. This from Sip Sauce. We know who that is.
Oh, what challenges have you encountered in transitioning from a corporate party to a grassroots party?
Great question.
Support. That's the big one. Support in terms of material, financial, just human. Unfortunately, we in the Green Party, I've learned quickly, we get to laugh at the fact that we are out here and oftentimes alone. Not necessarily completely alone, but it's a thankless endeavor to be championing a party that is oftentimes smeared and oftentimes lied on, and especially after an election season, people are not really interested in jumping on board. But the actual support where I'm seeing it exists within the Green Party, because it is people like y'all, it is people like the folks tuning in right now that are, even though it's not vogue or trendy or anything right now that makes them feel like they should be in this YouTube live stream right now, they're choosing to. They're taking the time to sacrifice some of their own free time to continue pushing the movement forward. And that is why I'm here, because I really do feel that love across the country. It's blossoming into a wonderful network that has excited me into booking a flight to New York for the January 20th People's Forum, because I want to see what happens. I want to see where this energy culminates, because I feel like that is the stage for us to make our case as the electoral arm of the social justice movement. And I think, obviously, while it was scary in the campaign season, not as much support, I do feel the most optimistic I have all year, and it's been a very dark year. So I feel like that's from a lot of different points, whether it is the Democrats locally that are now starting to give us a little bit more respect, or from local PSL chapters wanting to work together with us. And I'm hoping to see that replicate nationally with the People's Forums.
Yeah, I would say actually, I go back to Jill Stein and how I think she's so brilliant. And a point of her brilliance is just her running was the point, because certainly in Illinois, now the Green Party's back.
Yep.
I mean, it was at its lowest point, I think, in decades when she came in for this election. I mean, it's low. And the Illinois Green Party is growing like crazy. And that's because of Joe Stein.
Yep.
Yes.
And that work is going to happen after. So, no, I'm thinking much more positive about, the Green Party. It is.
And I will say that, even if we can't grab the White House, grab the brass ring, the more people that leave and vote green will pressure the Democrats into doing the right thing. So that's like a place to start.
That's why I love
when you vote green, you have to, that says, I have somewhere to go. Despite all your efforts to sue us off the ballot and to make it almost impossible, the ballot, if anybody's been here for any amount of time, I constantly complain about ballot access because the signatures are outrageous.
Yep.
So, I mean,
although I will say Arizona did it.
And the propaganda, but I do have a comment. The propaganda has just
quickly. I want to say Arizona. You guys got in 2023. I looked up 62,000 signatures.
Yeah.
So I mean, amazing job in Arizona.
I can't take credit, but I will give props where they're due. Eduardo Quintana, Mike Cease, Kira, there, Sam Hales, Cody Hanna. I got this opportunity because of Cody, and I would not have been here if it weren't for the work that they have been doing. Yeah. The very thankless work that they continue to chart, and I'm just happy to be here and provide support. But there was a question.
There's a comment. Surviving daily. I love that. What advice can you give building support when it feels like there is none in your area?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I have noticed with my new involvement in the Green Party is that it is very chapter oriented. I don't know how it is in Arizona, but certainly Anna, who's the co-chair of the Illinois Green Party, she's pushing that all the time to start chapters. And, the cool thing about modern technology is we do a weekly Zoom for Illinois, and you don't have to be a member. It's just kind of a place to hang out. We do it every Thursday night at 8:00, and people can find it if you go to ilgp.org/events. We've got it in there every week. And so in the new space, it doesn't really matter where you are. I mean, you can find a Zoom to get involved, but certainly, the Green Party seems to be in Illinois very chapter oriented. So let us know. We could work on a chapter in your area.
and get involved in your community. That's the other thing. Yeah. Show up being green. Because I kind of came to it backwards. I joined the ceasefire protests in Carbondale, and then I'm like, this is still happening. Of course, they're not listening. And then I'm like, okay, presidential election's coming. Who am I going to back? And I just want to get to work and change this, So that's how I ended up here.
My last bit of advice to that would just be start small, because that question resonates with me almost weekly, and it's easy to get tunnel vision, especially in this moment where it's dark out there. Like, you go on Twitter, you look at the news, or you try having these conversations, and it is pretty depressing when you hit a wall or you feel alone. But then I will quickly remind myself, I can text Ariel, or I can text in the Slack, or I can plan an event, because oftentimes having conversations like these will pull me out of that hole and will inspire me towards 3 different directions where I can find more help, more support. And it hasn't failed me yet. I'm still here. I'm still standing. Excited to keep finding more.
Another place that I really like is just all of the YouTube channels, which, we're trying to be one of them, right? But I mean, I just think it's a great inspirational space out there. And I always list my favorites: Revolutionary Blackout Network, Sabby Sabs,
Bad Faith,
right? Let me think. Oh, I love Jamal Thomas. He's kind of back. Well, Gamarl Thomas. He's kind of back. I think he had some health issues. He does a weekly, everyday morning show, 3-hour. But it's and especially I love RBN because there is a real community there. It's a real, they're very focused on a mutual aid, and
Absolutely.
so it's very community building. That's a great place. If you're feeling all alone, go to RBS.
Yeah,
Nick is the best. He's strong.
that's the best advice to give, because inserting yourself into the universe of coalition building, organizing, mobilizing, just being aware of these issues makes you that much closer to having a conversation and pushing that dialogue further. Because I did not feel confident enough to get on a podcast or to even talk in front of a crowd up until I got to my different checkpoints of, okay, you talked without crying, good job. Okay, you talked for an hour without crying, good job. And then it gets to a point where you feel like, wow, people are actually listening and they're learning from me. And I have full confidence that if you're here right now, you've probably got a niche that you can start really educating people on, whether it's who you are and your identity or why the Green Party appeals to you. I always start by talking about why I went green, and that's always a really great way to get people intrigued.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. One thing that Shawnee Green Party, which is I'm in Southern Illinois, is talking about doing is doing a movie screening because what's his name, Brian Thompson, that was the CEO of United Healthcare, was just assassinated, and it kind of exposed a raw nerve that there's probably no one in this country, unless you're super wealthy, that hasn't had a bad experience to up into the point of you've lost someone you love very dearly with the healthcare industry.
Absolutely.
And they're super profitable. It's not healthcare. It's for profit,
Yeah, and
they
it's
only care about
insurance.
the money.
Yeah, it's insurance. It's not healthcare.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even healthcare.
And
Yeah.
the
I
denial
mean, the whole
rates,
thing could disappear and we would be fine. We
would
don't
be
need
better
that
off.
thing at all. I mean, it
Yeah.
does not need to exist.
yeah, I mean, they were shamed into I don't know the company, but saying, "Oh yeah, we'll cover all the
It was Blue Cross
the
Blue Shield.
anesthesia."
Yeah.
Hang
it
on.
was it was Blue Cross Blue
I
Shield.
remember seeing
Free
that.
Luigi.
I know.
We
No,
need to
that's
start a hashtag. I don't know how he's
oh,
going to get
I'm
a.
sure it's out there. Yep.
I
It's
don't know how
it's
he's
on.
going to get a jury of his peers. But
It's-
what I was going to say quickly is there's a Healing Us documentary that we're going to try to screen, and that was created after I left the March for Medicare for All, which wonderful people I worked with. It's just, life kind of gets in the way sometimes, and you can't keep up that level of participation. After we did the marches in July, I had to step back. So, but some of those same people are in that documentary, and it's narrated by Susan Sarandon.
Okay.
Oh.
Cool. Nice.
One of my favorite greens.
Yeah, she's great. And though I think, and again, we need to push to people. If you vote Democrat, I can guarantee you will never get universal health care ever in your life.
Yep. It's that.
You'll
It's that.
never get it.
It's like the closer you look, the darker it gets. Because I did have to, after in the transition between Democratic campaign manager to abandon Harris, Arizona, there was a lot of soul searching. I wanted to figure out, I don't want to be harming my own trans and gay employees or my own immigrant friends and family. And there are a lot of these issues that I kept feeling just in my soul. I don't want to be responsible for hurting any of these people. So I put my master's of public policy hat back on for a bit, did some deep dive into policy, and found a lot of just unsavory truths about what we've seen as far as progress is concerned from the Democratic Party, because you saw a lot of almost like delusional explaining after Trump won, saying, oh, well, Biden must now do all of these different things, pull all these levers to save America because fascism is coming. But he was in power for 4 years. How delusional are we going to continue to be for just to expect if to use and co-opt a phrase used by Gen Z quite a lot? If he wanted to, he would, and he hasn't, and he continues not to. And Trump shows that he wants to, and he does. So at least we know that he's holding the gun pointed at us rather than holding a knife behind his back, is the way I see it, and why I feel comfortable campaigning against the Democrats, because I think they're harming us more than they're helping us at this point.
Oh my God! In the his last days, Biden is doing his best. Again, is it Biden or is it somebody else? But it's the Democratic administration. They are doing their best to completely destroy this world. I mean, they were involved with the bringing in ISIS and Al Qaeda into Syria. They were involved. I mean, Turkey was probably the main person, but there's no doubt we've been CIA involved in that place for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And and he's okaying attacks going into Russia,
Yep.
the Ukraine. I mean, there couldn't be a worse administration. And that's one of the things I do online. I was like, so Democrats, are you really cool with Biden like being this with ISIS and Al Qaeda in Syria? Is that okay with you? I mean, that's one thing that kind of drives me nuts, is because people are so team oriented that they just shut everything off. Oh, genocide. Okay, no, I'll just ignore that one. ISIS and Al Qaeda in Syria. No, I'll just ignore it. Nazis in Ukraine. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. I mean, it's just.
I think people don't understand that it is affecting us too. I mean,
Yes.
in several different ways. I mean, it has to do with the money that never gets spent here, because what is it now? Over $1 trillion a year goes out the door to blow stuff up and kill people, which they need to just refund because they blew it up. And then that's all the services that we can't get here that should be spent on us. And it has everything to do with the repression and the censorship and the cop cities and all that happening. I mean, it's just when violence becomes okay, they're going to use it on us, and people have not made that connection yet. Well, I mean, we're starting to see it, but we do have a comment while I'm chatting away here. Surviving daily. I'm currently rebuilding a chapter of PWA. Nice. Other than educational hangout Zooms, what other kind of events can we do as a local chapter to build support?
I've got lots.
Go ahead.
Movie screening.
Movie nights are great. I'm really glad you brought up the movie night, because I bookmarked that for a future one for Where You Been, because we did Israelism for our first movie night. And I think I highly recommend, if you're looking for any, I would be so happy to create a little like resource guide of my favorite radical films and books and TV and all that, because I do think art should be our vehicle to liberate folks. If electoral politics isn't going to work, then put them on to some great artists, to some great movies. There's some really fantastic cartoonists. There's a lot of fun ways you can incorporate liberation into art. And I mean, it's a time-old tradition. But besides movie nights, there's also fundraisers. If you know any local businesses in Washington, I'd also love to connect with you, because I lived there for a little bit on my Democratic campaign trail. So I might know some folks that can work together with you about getting more of a Washington Green Party network going, because a lot of people are going to be on the fence. You are probably unique in that you want to start this now in December, right after November 2024. And don't let that discourage you. Just let that inspire you to find more people like you, like us. Because there's got to be people in every single state that are scratching their heads wondering, why am I not seeing as much interest as I thought there would be? And it starts from these sorts of conversations and these sorts of questions. If we are showing that we're active and we're allying ourselves with really solid organizations and building coalitions, eventually they're going to start coming our way. But if we're actively seeking them out at events, we know we're going to find them. For example, for me, as a Muslim in the community here, I look out for the Food for Palestine events, because I know you're going to have a generally more friendly to whatever you're talking about crowd than if you're going to a movie theater and start flyering randomly. I definitely think targeted outreach is the name of the game.
Nice.
Yeah.
I do. Well, I just wanted to mention to Surviving Daily, if he's in Washington, Andre Stackhouse was part of the March for Medicare for All. He helped build that march, and he also ran for governor as a Green, I believe. So he might be somebody you might want to contact. And I'm trying to think of the other guy, and I can't think.
Jason Call ran for
Oh.
Congress in Washington District 2, if I'm not mistaken, as well as managing Dr. Stein's campaigns. That guy, if you want to meet like a real organizer, you should find Jason Call, and I would be happy to connect you to. He might not be happy about me saying that. He's a very busy man, but I think he's an incredible organizer, and I had my eyes on his campaign as a Democrat. So I think if more folks just keep making noise like we are, then eventually we'll have that critical mass of Dem exit, Green entries, and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for those that don't know who Jason Call is, he was the campaign manager for Jill Stein.
Yeah.
He left the Dems too.
Yeah, right.
Like, everybody leave, just come on over. We got plenty of work to do. We're nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I co-sponsoring events is a really good thing to be doing. I mean, that's a great way to meet other folks. We're in Chicago. We're involved in a thing called We Fight Back, and it's an inauguration day event in Chicago. And there's so many groups that are involved, but we are co-sponsor the Illinois Green Party. And I'm just going to name a few of them: Code Pink, American Muslims for Palestine Chicago, Answer Coalition, Palestine Youth Movement, Stop Transgenocide. So there's just tons and tons of organizations, and that's a great thing to do, is to co-sponsor events, or to get involved with an event at the same time you're planning on getting more active in the Green Party.
And show up and represent the Green Party. Don't show up in a random T-shirt.
Right.
Wear your green gear. Which we're going to be getting some new gear on our website very soon.
Yeah, we're working on that for Illinois.
Yeah. And what I remember the other name.
Arizona.
Huh?
I'll just scratch it out, write an AZ.
Yeah.
I remember the other name I was trying to remember.
A T-shirt. I did a marker. I mean, it was, it looked punk.
That's the thing about organizing, is it teaches you how to do a lot of punk adjustments. We had shirts being printed out here. We had a lot of different, just instead of ordering in bulk, because we didn't have that sort of financing, we were doing it all ourselves. I poured my own money into the last 2 campaigns I worked on, and I couldn't be more proud, because we earned some votes. We earned some real votes, and we also changed some hearts. And I know people get a little discouraged when they look at the vote count, as understandably it makes sense, but you have to take 2 things into account. For one, the DNC was sending smears out early in advance of the election day. They never do that. So there were people just like us that were hearing that she's a Russian asset, or that she's a spoiler, or whatever it might have been. And that fear-mongering did peel away a large swath of her supporters. But then on top of that, there were 9 million people just like me that had voted for Crime Bill Joe in 2020, but that did not vote for Holocaust Harris in 2024. So that is a large target for us to keep our eyes on, not be disappointed by whatever, not 5% that we didn't get. That just means we got to keep our chins up and keep moving. We're not going to go back to the Democrats now that we lost. So
well, and we were facing the Trump fear mongering, which was constant.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I mean,
end of democracy. Yeah.
It had, I had this lady come up to me, like the week, what was it, like maybe 10 days before the election, the Harris campaign swooped in to Carbondale, and they took the space where we had been doing our ceasefire protests for a year. So then when we started showing up, it kind of looked like they were with us, but I'm like, don't look at them, turn our backs. I'm like,
oh my God,
they can't have this. And, they were trying to co-opt to make people think that they were supporting, the Palestinian ceasefire movement, and they weren't. I mean, they were waving at us and everything. And then this one lady, I went up and talked to her. She's like, if he gets elected, it's over. It's over. Like, they were in hysteria.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we lived through it before.
Right.
And Biden Harris should be punished for what they're doing. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm not really sorry, but
no, you should not be able to get away with genocide. If that's not a red line, I can't even.
What is your red line?
I can't.
Exactly. We do have a comment. Surviving Daily says, thank you for the helpful
information.
I'm sure Sip will get in contact as well. So Sip. Awesome.
Nice.
The other person I was trying to remember is Mark Mixon.
Oh, okay.
And, he does a lot of good work.
I did want to add that yes, the numbers maybe didn't look great, but I mean, certainly in Illinois, we were a write-in campaign. It took us a long time to get data on that. So the numbers that went out initially were not, accurate. And then it turns out we got 31,000 votes for
I saw
Jill.
that.
Almost 32.
And
they
for
keep
writing campaign, that is fantastic. It's more than Howie Hawkins got in 2020 when he was on the ballot.
Yep.
So, I mean, we did a really good job. And the other thing that I swear I've never seen before, and is a demographic, I've never seen a demographic, it's weird to talk in those terms, but where the Muslim vote still was either 1 or 2, or very close. And in a number of surveys, she was number 1.
Yep.
I've never seen a Green Party candidate be number 1 for a specific demographic. It's just that was unbelievable in itself. That was fantastic.
That's exactly why I'm here. There was a interview between my 2 favorite YouTubers, Savvy Sabs and Brianna Joy Gray. It was just like 2 titans talking about the election. I was so happy, just eating my popcorn. But I believe it was Brianna that said, if America voted like the Muslim community, we would be in a very different place right now. Right. And I could not be happier that she recognized that, because that was the whole point of the Abandon Harris movement. That was the whole point of all of it, that we are not any different from any other group or demographic, but now our vote power is being reckoned with. And yet somehow still the corporate media wants to talk about, did they go too far left, or
right,
scapegoating certain demographic groups, when the reality is the blame should be pinned on the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party alone. And every article and piece of evidence that's come out after November 5th has only proven our point stronger and stronger, whether it's the revelations that their polling wasn't as accurate as they were making it out to be, or their spending on $100,000 to $1 million podcast studios. I know you guys bought a whole coffee shop for this podcast, but
we
have different funding. Like
we just rented it.
Funding just flies in.
And paying people $1 million to appear and say the kind words. Yeah. When you have, I mean, that tells me that your message is shit. Sorry. And you don't really have the support. I mean, they knew they were going to lose. I knew they were going to lose. I knew it was going to be Trump. I said that on election night.
Yeah, I felt that way by September because of the Breakfast Club interview. Because Dr. Ware he was able to just say it so plainly, where the CARE data had been out for months at that point. The uncommitted votes were out in January from this year. So we knew at every turn the Democrats have been aware and made it a point to double down on their genocidal tactics. So I knew they were going to lose, and I just wanted to be at a point where I could be laughing instead of sad about it. And I'm happy to be here now, because it sucks that Trump is in office. Do not get me wrong. Do not mistake that. But the myth that it's easier to organize under Democrats was extremely transparently false, when it was Democrats saying that to us organizing under a Democrat, because I was at the encampments. I saw my friends get torn away from their parents. I saw friends get their hijabs ripped off. I saw the ASU chief of police in plain clothes stabbing in tents just at 9 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, because he can, and because Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs told him it was okay. So I don't really those lines don't work on me, and I'm just gonna be puffing my chest up a little bit more now that I know the Democrats don't have a leg to stand on, because that whole organizing under liberals myth doesn't exist, and they're coming back now. They're getting ready. They're going to be co-opting our We Fight Back forums, so we have to be aware of that, and we have to be aware of the fact that we have a coalition that they want in on, so they have to prove themselves.
They're already trying to do it. I don't know if you watched somebody I used to have two people I used to have great amount of respect for, Jon Stewart and Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
It was already cruising towards 1 million views. And I'm like, we know the problem. And then Bernie's like, but they can't say anything, because then they'll lose their job. I'm like, people are losing their lives, dude. Like, come on. That's not a good enough excuse anymore. I'm sorry. It's kind of cowardly. If our politicians will not stand up for the people, what the hell are they doing there? They need to go.
Bernie's the reason I didn't take a break after election day, because I went to bed at like 4 a.m. because it was a very energetic night in Arizona. We had the entire Bannon Harris crew in. I had the honor of speaking on the Jill Stein live stream. It was
Nice.
insane.
Nice.
It was a ridiculous evening.
Yeah.
And then I woke up the next morning to two types of texts. One was, look at what Bernie just posted, and it was his statement talking about how we have to have a serious reevaluation. And it was the same thing I was expecting. Or the more disgusting type of text was, Palestine is just going to get hurt even more now, right?
Yeah.
Because those were folks that were just waiting to say that, and if they weren't speaking before, I don't know why they feel the need to be talking now. It doesn't really feel genuine. It feels more like they're just reminding me of what is coming and what has been happening and what we've been talking about, because then it just shows me that they were aware of what is happening. They just chose not to speak about it until the moment passed. And the Bernie post, my mom sent it, like so many people sent it to me, and I would just immediately I felt, okay, well, I have to do this Green Party thing, because if people are just that quickly able to forget that 2 days ago he was wagging his finger on camera saying you have to vote for Kamala Harris, how are we going to get anywhere? So I want to just be like one of those people on the tarmac at the airport, just go back to the Green Party, just make sure you're going that way, not go to the Democrats.
We're right here.
Look towards community solutions.
I mean, I there is voices out there, certainly Bernie puts out a post and he gets a ton of ratios, and that's another thing we have to do, is we have to get the public to understand that Bernie Sanders not leaving the Democratic Party in 2016 was a death knell to the left for a decade. And he had his chance and he decided to do the career thing. And I mean, it's pretty famously known now that somebody had asked him, maybe it was Cornell, I can't remember who it was.
It was
why do you do it? Yeah, and he goes, because I don't want to be another Ralph Nader. And that says it all. That says it all. That means you actually don't care. You care more about your stupid ass career and your age. I mean, it's pathetic, and it's sad that somebody who has such great ideas, it's like, how do you find somebody who just sticks to their principles? It's hard, but he's not one of them. He's not one of them.
I've looked. I'm going to be making my case to Cori Bush. She's coming to Arizona for a local banquet by the Council on American Islamic Relations Arizona chapter. And I'm just going to talk to her, like, very frankly, because I want her to know how I feel. I don't think that, like, her very important platform and voice and leadership should be wasted with the Democratic Party, nor should it be wasted with the Working Families Party, because that's just like an offshoot. I used to think that it was different. One of my favorite takeaways from working on a Democratic campaign, this is for anyone listening that just wants easy way to just practice a little bit of dialogue, conversation, and it's completely private. When you get those fundraiser texts, when you get texts from the Democratic Party asking for money, even now, respond, because there's someone reading those and they're not going to respond, most likely, especially if you bring up Palestine, especially if you bring up anything that you really care about. But sometimes you'll get someone that actually cares. And it's really interesting to have those conversations with them, because you'll see when their manager takes over. You'll see when they get a boilerplate text that says, no, actually, we do support both Palestine and Israel. Like, you go through it yourself, have these conversations with these people, with the people sending these texts, and that will radicalize you faster than anything I can say will, because that was my experience. I went to DC to try being a Trojan horse. I'm in the National Small Business Association, and I wanted to use that to talk with Senator Mark Kelly, because I was told I would get to speak with my representatives and my senators, and I knew he, like Representative Schreier, had a horrible checkered voting record, and I wanted to frame it in a way where he would actually respond. And he didn't even meet with me. It wasn't very much of a shock, because I've been emailing him and my other representatives, but I got to meet with his office and told them, I told them all the stuff I needed to about tax laws. And then I asked if I could speak as an individual, because I know what they want. They want to win. They don't really care about Palestine. So I talked in their language, and I said, how do I, as a Muslim political guy, tell my community, tell my coffee shop customers, tell my family to vote for you and to vote for Biden when this is what you guys are doing? And trust me when I say we are more scared of Trump and Kerry Lake than you are. I know that. So how are you going to make me feel confident to actually tell them that they should be voting for you when you continuously allow my family to get murdered by your votes? And she responded, his assistant, with, well, obviously Israel has a right to defend itself. And at that point, I mentally clocked out. I was walking away from the Senate building and I registered green. That was it.
Right.
That's what I mean. Have the conversation yourself. And then when you get to that point, because a lot of these folks will tell you they don't want to make the change because they're in a place, they're getting in the rooms with these Democrats, they're getting to talk with these leaders. Where did those conversations end up getting you? What you'll actually find out is they're not Muslims that are in the Democratic Party. They're in the Democratic Party and they're representing the Democratic Party for the Muslim community. They are sent by the Democrats to go talk with their people and tell them why voting for Kamala Harris just has to happen. And we saw that in very slimy ways with the progressive Dems in Arizona writing this letter about Palestinian Americans voting in support of Kamala Harris for harm reduction. And it made the rounds on Jon Stewart. It made the rounds everywhere. And I was very upset by that because that letter, not to be counting or making a quota of anything, but it had less than 17 Palestinians on the letter. It was more than 100 progressive Dems that were on that letter, but they didn't want to mention that in their coverage. And in response to that letter, there was a community letter made with actual Palestinians in protest and in support of Jill Stein. So the evidence is out there. I mean, South African genocide trial is a perfect example for that. It's just people don't want to look. And if we are the voices, if we're championing this, we will see that we become the leaders of it. I didn't want to be a leader here, but my favorite line now is the best resistant leaders are the best resistance leaders. And it's just a bunch of shy people that are waiting for someone else to step up to the plate, but we're here.
Yeah,
exactly. Abdul says,
hey Abdul, how you doing? Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was a very shy kid, but I'm kind of getting over it. Because I mean, when something needs to be done and nobody else is stepping up, you have to be the one.
You know, I will say
all the people listening and just join your local Green Party, find out what's happening. I'm sure they're working on stuff. You know, maybe take a break for Christmas, but January 1, baby, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of to speak to that, and you know, I've learned so much again on these YouTube channels, which is it's a community of leftist thinkers, journalists or commentators, and also that's where you can build confidence. Because I know one thing that is happening. You know, when I make these little snarky comments, hey, Democrats, blah, 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 you know, it's because they don't pay attention. And they don't really know what's going on. So they don't want to embarrass themselves, so they don't comment, right?
Yep.
And so it just takes, but the work is actually really cool work. It's really fun. I mean, RBN is fun, right? It's not that, you know, and the other thing that I'm going to say while I'm talking about the YouTube channels and the YouTube world is just, again, how impressed I was with Jill Stein came in. Actually, Cornel West came in, completely screwed it all up, and these people like Nick ripped them to shreds, and he couldn't handle it. And he had snarky, you know, responses that were pathetic, you know. And so he leaves Green Party. Jill comes in because she knows she has to save the Green Party, and it was fascinating to watch her win all of them over. I mean, even Due Dissonance, and I really have real strong problems with Due Dissonance because of Russell's anti-trans stance. It's horrific. It's horrific. There's so much anti-trans on the left. It makes my head explode. But even they were like, well, you know, they hate electoral politics. We're going to vote for Jill Stein because of abandoning Harris. And so, you know, Right. So even that, but Nick got on board, and Nick's not easy. It's not easy to get him on board. And Sabby and Brianna, it was really incredible to watch that process. And that gave me hope. You could talk about the numbers weren't that great. In 2020, there was no Green Party visibility out there on YouTube. None. And
Yeah.
2024, it exploded on TikTok. It exploded on Instagram.
Absolutely.
It got on Facebook as expected. But
Well, and there's 88 million people that are eligible to vote that did not vote. If those 88 million people if we could just reach them, we would have won. That's what people don't get. I mean, I know it's a heavy lift, and this is how we start. We start small, we build local, state, and get into national, and we don't take any time off. Maybe Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but the work continues. Jill just kind of fired us up. We do have a comment. Huckleberry Ninja, what's up? What if there's no local Green Party? Next election, I'm planning on collecting signatures. I would say find your state party.
Yeah, which state are you in? In Illinois, we do a weekly Zoom, so you can check in with us. And I would just go to any state's Green Party webpage, and just see. They're all pretty good, and just see what's going on there as a way to reach folks. If you're Illinois, then definitely we do a Thursday night Zoom at 8:00, ilgp.org/events. It's in there.
Or go to the national, Green Party GP, what is it?
It's gpus.org. And
there it is. Thank you.
I would recommend joining your caucus, because I joined the youth caucus, and I think just being able to operate within your niche, within your intersection, will really introduce you to more folks that might have similar ideas, might have already tried out those ideas, and you can learn from them, because that's my intention. I know I'm not the first young green, and I'm excited to learn from the ones that have been here a little bit longer than me.
And that's also really cool in terms of just being part of the national. That's great. That's a really good thing to be doing. Absolutely.
Wait, we have another comment. I'm in Wyoming. Okay, I was making sure I was seeing that correctly. So not much presence, and not an official party. I wanted to register as green, but had to register as unaffiliated.
Great. Same as Illinois. You don't register green. Sucks.
I think they were on the ballot though.
Right, but just how you register.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm saying, in other words, there is a presence, there is a state party.
Yeah.
And if you want to find it, you could go to the national, say it again, gpus.org.
This can maybe be a live teaching moment, because one thing that I was having trouble with understanding is the difference in registering green and becoming a member of your state Green Party. And I think Huckleberry Ninja, if you go to your state website, if they have one, I would definitely see about becoming a member or looking at their action steps, because that will probably lead you to some channels where you can talk to locals that are also in the Green Party, but not necessarily registered green, because a lot of that has to do with the attack dogs that the Democratic Party sends after us, where there'll be a erroneous comma somewhere that is the reasoning for us being dropped from the ballots entirely, whatever it might be. And the only way to combat that is by being aware of it and by getting more people on board to defend us against it, because we are all citizen journalists at this point. We are all graphic designers at this point. We're all internet commentators at this point. And I think, like exactly what Scott was saying, adding your voice to the chorus of green voices is the best way to immediately getting involved, because just showing that we're not going anywhere and showing that these opinions exist and are shared and reshared. Tell your family and friends to retweet you. You got to use your relational organizing chops the best to your ability. So see what you can do with your immediate contacts and your immediate circles, and then go from there.
Yeah. So Wyoming Green Party has a Facebook, so there's a place to start.
There we go.
And Justin B. I think we know who that is. Great show.
Justin.
Justin was on 2 weeks ago. Yes.
Yeah, that was a good show. We went long. Scott can't hang with us. He's got rehearsal.
Oh,
in about 5
well,
minutes, but we could stay on if you want,
yeah,
or yeah.
I can stay on for a bit. Yeah, I definitely want to encourage anyone that is watching, look up We Fight Back People's Forum on Google and see about what local actions are happening. Because, like Scott had mentioned, there's an Illinois one, I believe Chicago.
Yeah, that was Chicago.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Phoenix has one as well. We're partnering with our local PSL chapter, Palestinian American Action Network, and a couple other great organizations. And I'm sure that whoever's watching, wherever you're watching, there's probably going to be a action that's already planned or in the pipeline. So reach out to your local Greens, your local PSL folks, and ask them if there's something happening. Otherwise, join me in New York, because I think it'll be a great way to network with this new energy and see where we can direct it, because we just want to be able to tell people we are the electoral arm of the social justice movement. We have ballot access and we intend to use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justin says, yes, relational organizing is key.
Yes.
Yes.
And in terms of electoral, I mean, I do think that we also need to just constantly fight that propaganda that it's wasted vote, that it, I mean, it's so doable. Because the mechanism is there. I mean, they certainly make it difficult, but for the most part, we're successful in getting that mechanism, which is on the ballot or write-in. And so the possibility is there, and we just have to convince people, to be a third party. If you get 35% of people voting, you're going to win. Yeah. So it's not, I mean, it's not an impossible thing by any means. I mean, it is completely doable. It's all it takes is for people to realize, you know what, I can do it. I can vote third party. I can vote Green Party. That's all it takes.
Well, and I'd also say it's viable if you can vote for them.
Yeah.
It just takes people to change their mind. I know that just is a huge word. We do have more comments. Huckleberry Ninja says, I had to write in Jill and Butch, but Chase was on my ballot. I've been active on Facebook and actually in a group called Green Revolution. I'm in that group.
Oh,
I'd love to be more involved. The Wyoming Green page is not. Well, sometimes that might be you. Find out who's running it. Just,
start talking. That's like, honestly, it sounds silly, and it obviously is a little intimidating to enter a new group, enter a new community altogether. I'm speaking from experience here. I was very nervous about saying anything in the Jill Stein Slack, but eventually I got to a point where I felt confident enough to start just asking my random 100 questions. And those questions led to getting Dr. Stein to visit Arizona. And we were able to fill up a banquet hall of 500 people that were eager to meet her and take pictures with her. So use your voice. I know it sounds like a platitude, but I sincerely mean it. You're here for the right reason. And I have a feeling that you should be adding your voice to the chorus that's going to continue to grow, because we're only seeing it go up from here. And we're only seeing the Democratic Party bleed. So we got to be opportunists in that way and be peeling off those folks that no longer feel like this is a party that represents them, because I wasn't going to vote at all. And it wasn't a wasted vote to me. I was proud to drop off my ballot. I had a big old smile on my face because I was wearing my Steinwear shirt, and I got so many dirty looks the entire way down the line. But I don't care, because the day after, the story was different. There was no longer the Jill Stein is ruining democracy. It was suddenly the reality. The Democratic Party just felt the worst election attempt they've ever done. And running with that narrative and making sure we are placing our narrative first should be your priority, because we are Greens and we are the champions of the Green Party. We can't just wait for Dr. Stein to be speaking on every issue before we take issue. We should be looking for these YouTubers, these independent journalists, and these experienced Greens, because we can learn a lot from them. I'm speaking from experience there.
I just did a quick, look, and the Twitter X page, Wyoming Green hasn't posted in 4 years. So it's looking kind of not great. But you know what? Can you get in touch with Sip Sauce? That's I don't know is there communication between the two places? Because I would bet Ariel would know. I mean, if somebody would know, and I mean, honestly, if it's not happening, start it. I mean, I would go to the national and just reach out to folks. Again, Ariel is a great resource.
I know he's not on the call now because he had another meeting he had to jump off. But if Huckleberry, if you want, I can put my email in the chat. And you're welcome.
Ariel is. I'm sure Ariel's on Facebook too.
Or just maybe contact the Illinois Green Party or the Arizona Green Party. So you don't make it public. Don't make it public.
That's a good point.
Okay.
That is a great point.
Well,
I know
I'll
we're
make
all
mine public too.
kumbaya, but this is public.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make
I
mine.
relationally organize too much sometimes.
Mine is
Unless
Scott. Mine is scott.free@ilgp.org. So you can definitely reach out to me, and I'll But that would be my suggestion. And hey, the Wyoming Green Party is yours to take. Go for it, right? I'd love to have my own Green Party.
It's my Green Party. I'm going to make it however I
No,
want.
and I'm joking, but honestly, I mean, I'm joking, but honestly, that's why I feel like the Green Party is the place to be, because you make it, you just make it. Edie and I are making the Illinois Green Party right now, and I'm not joking about that.
That's
really
exactly how I feel about Arizona. I wanted to make sure that this was not something that I was just going to be distracting myself with for the next 4 years. I wanted this to be a vehicle for change. And now this feels like a real vehicle for change, because I can just pack in all of my different intersections of justice and use the Green Party to just promote it everywhere I gotta go, because I was going to be going to these protests anyways. I was going to be allying myself with these nonprofits and mutual aid sources anyways, but you may as well slap a little GP logo on there, and then they'll know where to look if they need your help.
I always like to say, use all the tools in the box.
Yeah.
Because they have the money, they have the connections, all that crap, they're grandfathered in. But in order to change that, we have to build something new. We do have lots of comments here. Jesus would vote green.
Well, of course.
He's from the West Bank, so it makes sense.
Right.
And Huckleberry Ninja, I was previously a non-voter for 10 years. Finding a YouTube comment advocating for her was all it took to make me go green. See, there you go. So here's something that I want to say. Okay, those vote blue no matter who, super liberal spaces that we tend to avoid as Green Party members, go there, politely say your piece. So at least the people that are like, I don't really like the way this is sounding, they might come find you.
They'll know they're not alone, because I was that guy at one point.
Yeah.
I was the guy saying, no, don't be a spoiler at one point as well. Like, I don't think that everyone repeating these talking points is bad faith, but I do think that we need to be aware that they are talking points and train ourselves on how to combat them. That's one of the greatest things about working on a campaign, is you're so actively engaging with smears left and right. By the time you're actually done with your second interview or third interview, you know exactly what. I know Dr. Stein's campaign like backwards and forwards, because every family member has asked me about her ties to Russia. Yeah. Every friend has asked me about what will happen with Trump. Like, I needed to learn because I was concerned as well. And that's the point of this, is if you educate yourself, you will then become someone to educate others. And that's the best thing about this, is pro education. Like, share some books, share some movies, share some art, and that can be your conduit.
Yeah. Huckleberry Ninja says, seriously, most people just don't know third parties are even an option.
Right.
And that is the challenge.
Yeah.
That is by design too.
Yeah.
That's it. They keep us off the ballot. They smear us every chance they get. And it's one of the first times that they've ever had a war chest just to fight Jill.
Yeah.
So that says we hit a nerve.
Great publicity. Great publicity.
Yeah. One more comment really quick. Once you hear something enough, you start to believe it. USA has been brainwashed for a long time. It takes time to unbrainwash someone. Yes.
Absolutely.
To me, that is the most important, I think, in my journey, was at some point I had to realize that all media is propaganda.
Yep.
Now I could just watch the national nightly news and yell and scream when like tonight, Israel is bombing Syria in order to protect those places from getting into the wrong hands. Yeah, right.
Hang on.
But people believe
it's going to explode.
I know.
Best advice is give your family and friends manufactured consent for Christmas, and then start there, because I think getting them through the media literacy hellhole that we have here in America might be really helpful for you, not only for them, because having these conversations with folks can feel very, very circular and very infuriating when their grasp of politics or their grasp of the world we live in just is not there yet. And you don't need to pull your hair out or make the Green Party look bad by getting upset. You should just take a deep breath, hand them that book or Jakarta Method or the millions of other books out there that exist that can paint the picture extremely clearly for them that this is not a red versus blue issue. This is a worldwide issue that has been just getting worse the past 100 years or so.
I think the biggest challenge I faced, past Trump is scary, he's going to end the world, was like my family members, they're just like used to what they do. Like it was hard to break them out of their thinking like, it's always been that way. I'm like, no, it hasn't. But they don't believe me because especially for people that are older than me, and I'm sure you've experienced that. Yeah. Well, it's all relative, right? But I did have my dad convinced to vote for Bernie if he got the nomination. So I know there's room there.
Yeah.
And he voted for Trump because he's been convinced that Trump is a populist.
Yeah.
But he's a fake populist, and I can't make him see that. I said, well, if he was going to do good things for Gaza, why would he have moved, the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem? Why would he have said okay to annex the Golan Heights? I mean, he's not who he says he is.
No.
At least not what you're hearing. But he's 80 years old and he keeps the TV on, Fox or whatever. So there you go.
Yeah.
And another thing, the mainstream media is losing viewership like crazy.
Yeah.
Morning Joe has just started to tank, and I'm like, yes.
Once Positive America goes down with the ship, I'll be happy.
Yes, please.
Let's make a prayer.
Yeah. No, I think I only saw the little post analysis clip, just a tiny little bit. I've never seen it, but
that's a great way to start with people. If you're hitting these vote blue no matter who folks, just send them that Pod Save America interview with the folks from the Kamala Harris campaign, because they can start there. They can watch through that video, and then if they still have points about how we are hurting democracy, I would love to hear them out. I have not seen
that. So
you should definitely.
Yeah, it's famous.
I thought they were kind of co-opted,
refusing to take any responsibility. They're like, actually, I think it was the voters' fault. They just weren't understanding that the economy is really good.
Yeah,
it was laughable. I feel great right now because this has just been a great news week for the Green Party, because the Democrats are just being themselves, and no one does abandon Harris better than Kamala Harris. Like they were just killing the game.
Yeah, what was she? She showed up in a silver outfit.
That drunk video she did just recently, that was genius.
What
I was like, come on. That was fun.
Oh wow, I guess I missed one. Dang.
Oh, you didn't see that video?
It was amazing.
Yeah, and
of Jill?
No, Kamala Harris. She was saying everybody has to stay focused, and she just happened to have her hand up. So of course in Photoshop they photoshopped a whiskey bottle in her hand because she was, everyone said, "Is she drunk? Is she drunk?" I mean, there was definitely something was happening, but yeah, you can look it up. It was fun.
Wow. Yeah. And I will also say that the Democratic Party does not care if it loses, because they're still going to make lots of money.
No, that's
going to be just
exactly. No, they made it without a doubt. They made the choice that they just accepted that they were going to lose, because the Zionist control over that party wouldn't even let them lie like all politicians do before elections. They wouldn't even let them lie. They just had to hold the line. Israel must defend itself. We will not change policy.
Yeah, and your grocery bill is not what you think it is. Eggs are expensive.
Yeah,
but we're gonna fix that.
That was the other fascinating thing about this election. After seeing many elections over my lifetime, I've just never seen anybody the Democrats have put up that's been that bad.
I mean,
That was
they'll take that kind of campaign to
unreal.
look like a populist. They to give them a little bit of credit, the GOP at least campaigns like they want to win.
Right.
Like the Harris campaign was in Arizona, I think, 4 times within the span of 4 weeks leading up to the election, and we're a swing state, but they weren't doing anything. They were just doing concerts, basically. Just invite a celebrity, have them play a bunch of music, have a bunch of people just talk about joy while there's genocide going on, and repeat, rinse and repeat. And no wonder they lost.
Yeah, it was like, come hang out with the cool kids. We're cool. I'm like, no, you're not. Genocide's not cool. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it was.
Oh goodness. Well, yeah. So we're past an hour, and I know Scott's got to go.
Yeah,
This has been terrific. I hope you come back.
I would love to come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this.
There we go. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if we told people that you are the brand new Arizona Green Party co-chair. Did we miss to say that? I put it in the thing.
We had a lot to talk about. So yeah. Hi guys, my name is Zakir.
Congrats.
I'm the new Arizona Green Party co-chair. I am excited to be serving in the electoral arm of the social justice. Wait, no, I've messed that up. The electoral arm of the movement. There we go. Sorry, Mike.
Arm of the. I wrote it down. I don't know.
I love that. That's exact. That's
you have a fan on here.
So
Anna had a meeting.
Oh,
Anna is great.
Anna and Ariel are the reason I'm here. I swear, they were like, no matter what, we want to support you. If you need, like, if you feel like it's not there, we will fly out there to make sure you have like support. So that is why I'm here. The Green Party is a bunch of people that don't have the time, and yet they always make the time. And Anna Lee, Ariel, y'all, like, thank you. Seriously. That's why I want to make this big. That's why I want to just blow up the Green Party. Let's make this surge. Let's make this happen. Let's talk. Let's mobilize.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. And then Jay is here.
Yay,
Jay says congrats. He is our he's kind of like you. He's our acting co-chair.
Oh, awesome.
Until we get our election.
He just was the co-chair of the Cook County Green Party. And you're right, acting co-chair of Illinois Green Party. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my friend Yvonne, she says, hope to see Zakir on here again. Great conversation.
Yeah.
Anna, you are so inspiring, Zakir. Your energy is so infectious. So excited.
I get it from you, Anna. Anna is part of the power couple of America, as I affectionately dubbed them. Her husband Puyan was one of my favorite folks from the Abandoned Harris team, and it was just a pleasure and a wonderful surprise, really, to learn that the two knew each other, because I was so just moved by everything Anna was offering me with the Green Party, and Puyan was just killing it. We ended up doing an interview together. But yeah, that's what, like, this sums up my experience with the Green Party right here. It's just like a big old family, and we need some help. So if you know some folks that can maybe contribute their time, their energy, their reposts, whatever they can give, we would love it, because we just want to be out here. We want to be making noise and continuing to drum up support, because we're not going anywhere. We're not waiting to 4 years. We weren't waiting after November 5th. We were asking what's next. So
we were already all about it. I started talking about it when I knew Trump was going to win. We have one more comment, then I think we'll probably go. Co-chair assistant, co-chair for Cook County, taking a break for some of the ILGP admin work.
Yeah, right. Don't get too down in the red tape. Enjoy
and another thing that our buddy, where did he go? Huckleberry. Contact the Jill Stein campaign, and they may be able to help you, like, find out who the supporters are in your area, because they did get on the ballot. So so thank you everybody for coming.
Thanks everyone,
and please join us again, and join us on Thursday. If you live in Illinois, just come say hi.
Yes,
I mean, we're working on lots of stuff.
We just hang out. It's very fun.
Okay.
ILGP.org/events.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Hang on, I'm trying to do the music.
That's okay. I forgot to do it. That's okay.
Is it working? Oh, he left. Oh, well.
It's still live, though.